All the major big news stories and changes that are happening here in Utah right now, how are they affecting the state, as well as here in St. George, our small little community in southern Utah. So let's get started. And obviously we do want to point out that, not all change is good. And, there are definitely some people in our community that don't think changes are good. And we totally any change. Yeah, we totally get that. We totally empathize with that. And of course, we're going to discuss really truthfully here, I feel like, what are these changes and how are they affecting the community? So obviously one of the biggest changes is the major growth that is happening in Salt Lake City as well as here in St. George. Salt Lake City itself is becoming much more of a vertical city. It really has reached its capacity in terms of its ability to grow outward. So it's becoming more of a major metropolitan area. It's not just a small town anymore. I feel like when we were kids growing up, Utah was kind of just a flyover state. Not really many people lived here. There wasn't, except for skiing, there wasn't really any reason to go to Utah.
Yeah, it wasn't really a destination per se.
Except other than skiing.
Yeah, except for the resorts. But it definitely has changed where, obviously it's had the Utah Jazz basketball team for decades now, of course, but it seemed like that was the lone claim to fame for a long time. And then obviously things have changed a lot over the years where it's becoming much more of just where people want to flock to.
Yeah, just to speak to that, U.S. News and World Report named Utah again for the second time in a row the #1 state to live in the United States. And they based that off of a ton of different, reasons, economy, healthcare, education, a bunch of different stuff. We'll actually do another video on that very soon.
A little teaser.
So subscribe if you want to hear about that. But yeah, Utah has become a destination for a number of reasons. And Salt Lake City is becoming more of a big city, I would say.
Yeah, and the reason why we bring Salt Lake City into this is because as Salt Lake City goes, the state of Utah goes. And obviously as the state of Utah goes, as St. George goes. So it all kind of has this domino effect where Salt Lake City is becoming much more of, again, a major city, not just a medium-sized city that it was before. And so we're kind of seeing that, in fact, actually there's a new NHL team that's actually going to be starting its first season
in the fall.
So we're kind of seeing that, and plus there's also talk of even an MLB team actually coming out here. So what I'll be missing is an NFL team. But what's interesting is that we're going to have a lot of the major sports. We obviously already have the Utah Jazz, which is basketball, of course. We obviously already have Major League Soccer, but now we have NHL, and then soon possibly we'll have MLB.
Yeah, so I think that's just it's the marketing for Utah. It's just becoming more of a destination. It's becoming more a place that people, when they decide they want to move somewhere else, Utah's on the list, right? It's on the list along with Texas and Florida. I feel like it's always Texas and Florida, right, that people want to move to because they have such good economies, and Utah itself has a great economy. I think U.S. News and World Report ranked it #3 in the whole United States.
So before we continue, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Sean Dazad.
And I'm Courtney Dazad.
And I'm a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Utah. And if you're watching this channel, you might be thinking, wow, Sean, I love St. George. I love the red rocks. I love the perpetual blue skies. I can't wait to move in here. Now, the problem is I'm not local and maybe even out of state, so I don't know what to do. And I totally get that. So that's why you reach out to us so we can have that conversation, really be your boots on the ground, really find that perfect property for you. We can even do virtual tours of not just the properties, but the neighborhoods as well. And our team here has over 40 years of experience here in St. George itself. So what you want to do is you're going to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then in fact, obviously I think that what really put Utah on the map in a lot, at least on an international standpoint, was the 2002 Olympic Games, the Winter Games that took place in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden, all the eyes of the world were descended. They all of a sudden looked on to Utah going, oh, what is this place? And they found that they liked it a lot. A lot of change, I think, happened from that. And of course, now we actually got awarded the 2034 games, which is going to just even put more emphasis on Utah. So we're just, again, there's all this change coming, all this attention coming to Utah. And again, and therefore by association, St. George obviously benefits from that.
Yeah, I think, though, on the flip side of that, a lot of people think they don't like the big growth, right? They like it better when there's really, no one around, when you have ample parking everywhere and,
very little traffic everywhere.
Yeah, it's not that St. George has, if you're from a big city, I wouldn't say that you would call the traffic here in St. George traffic. It means that your commute's going to take maybe 10 minutes longer, not double what it should take in a big city. Like if you come from Houston or Miami or Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. I mean, these are the types of cities where you're going to have to plan double time, right? If it's going to take 45 minutes, it's going to take an hour and a half, right? That's not like it is here. But I mean, I do think that if that's what you're used to, I mean, St. George is more crowded than it was before.
Yeah, exactly. It is growing. I mean, it's the fastest growing metropolis I'm sorry, it's the fastest growing metro area in the United States. But you have to understand that, I guess, this will bleed into another conversation or another topic, is that I feel like because of the water, the water conservation emphasis that we have here. So it could have grown like how Vegas grew, like just crazy. We're not really seeing that. Obviously I don't see how that could even happen because water is something of a scarcity. So it's not like we're gonna run out of water. It's just that it's gonna slow the growth that could have taken place, which I think is welcome here. So honestly, almost everyone, just because we like the mid-sized city that this is, and I think a lot of people that have been here, they want it to be small to mid-size. I think that, being a mega metropolis really wouldn't benefit the mystique or wouldn't benefit the charm that St. George has to offer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever see it getting to be like 3 million people. It
Can't
doesn't
see that,
have
yeah.
the capacity for that.
No,
So,
exactly. Yeah, so from a water perspective specifically,
Yeah.
we just don't have it, which again, I think is great. But again, we do get comments all the time of people going, oh, we're gonna run out of water. You have to understand that these projects get approved because they have to make sure there's enough water for the project and their
Yeah.
projections. And also we're, even in all the new projects, so for instance, Desert Color is one of the major developments in the St. George area. And when they were actually getting their project approved, they are about 40-50% less water intensive than a typical project, because they actually got rid of, they don't even have a golf course in their plans. They're very water conscious, very much like they're taking their cues a lot from like how Vegas is doing stuff from that perspective.
Yeah, obviously we're not experts in water or anything like that, but we do have some resources that you can check into yourself. I will link them down below. Specifically, there's another YouTuber, his name's McCrae Hepler. Once a year, he always interviews the Water District, and I find that those interviews are, really well thought out, and after I watch them, I'm not really worried about water.
Exactly.
I mean, everyone knows, we live in a desert, right? Everyone knows that water is a scarce resource. So it's not like they approve a project and then think later, how are we going to get the water?
Exactly. It's very specific on okay, we have to have the water to make sure this is happening. And again, we're not growing at a crazy rate. Again, because I remember Las Vegas in the 1990s where it went from seemed like 100,000 people to like over 1 million within, 10x growth seemingly.
Yeah.
And so it just grew so fast. And it's just that we're not seeing anything like that happening in St. George.
No. And then I think also people, they see the growth of St. George and Utah itself, right? And then they blame all of that growth for the skyrocketing housing costs. And of course, that is a contributing factor, of course. Of course, it's supply and demand, right? You can't keep up with the demand that people are coming in. But then you also have to take into consideration that housing costs have gone up throughout the entire United States. Cost of living has gone up throughout the entire United States because of inflation, the devaluing of the dollar, because of the higher interest rates. These are national issues that are affecting everyone. I know a lot of people complain about the rents here in St. George, but rents are high everywhere. Like, sadly, it's really sad. But
Yeah,
it's not like it's just the growth that's causing it. It's a contributing factor, but go anywhere in the United States, you're going to be dealing with similar things.
Yeah, and to illustrate that point further, people kind of think that the price has skyrocketed like crazy, which they have, but really understand that the St. George premium to the United States median home price point, so the median home price point of St. George as opposed to the median home price of the entire country, there's only about a 15% premium. We're not talking about doubling what the median price point or anything like that. And you have to understand, any place that's actually a nice place to live, that's actually a travel destination and that kind of thing, there's going to be a premium realistically to it. And so a 15% premium is actually really low. I mean, incredibly low for a premium. So understand that kind of further illustrates that it's not, yes, there's more demand, but it's really, a lot of this is driven by the devaluation of the dollar and subsequently the spike in interest rates.
Yeah. And now let's talk about some of the major changes that are happening in the universities throughout Utah. I mean, the universities are growing, and specifically here in St. George, we have Utah Tech, which is a Division I 4-year university, and Utah Tech is growing by leaps and bounds. It is the most affordable university in Utah, so it's very popular. I think it is, attracting a lot of people from all around Utah to come live here.
All around the United States.
All around the United States, yeah. Kids come from all over the United States. I mean, I've met quite a few kids just, walking around, getting my hair done, that go to Utah Tech, and honestly, I've only heard good things about it.
Yeah.
And it has really good education statistics as well, which kind of goes along with Utah itself. I mean, Utah has very highly ranked education, from kindergarten or preschool all the way on up to university. I think, the last time I checked, anyone who graduates from Utah Tech that applies to medical school, I think 83% get accepted, which is kind of insane because it's really hard to get into medical school. I mean, that's not a given.
Yeah, when I saw that statistic, I was like, wow, that's actually like really high.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about how like inflation, what it's done to the housing prices. That's what makes Utah Tech so fascinating, is because the prices actually are very low for a university, for your school. And so, again, if you want your dollars stretched further from that perspective, Utah Tech is a really good option.
Yeah, and Utah Tech has a lot of financial aid as well. So I think most kids who go there, they get some sort of financial aid. So, it's becoming a top choice for a lot of people, not only just in Utah, but outside of Utah.
And you're really not skimping on the facilities too, because actually we're seeing as of recent, the stadium did this huge renovation, and actually the aquatic center here too has gone through a huge renovation as well. So it's kind of interesting where the facilities are getting better while still, again, the prices are very reasonable, again, especially for a university.
Yeah. Some other changes that are happening here in St. George are specific to the airport. So recently I know that they decided they were going to build a tower there. So it's a traffic control tower. I actually did not realize this, but the traffic control as of right now is done out of Southern California. It's done remotely. So they're building their own traffic control tower, which will help in terms of getting more destinations, because I know there's some airlines that they don't want to fly in here because it doesn't have its own air traffic control tower.
Talk about remote work.
Yeah, talk about remote work. So that's going to affect, we're going to have more destinations. And we recently actually just added the destination Los Angeles, so you can fly direct from St. George to Los Angeles. So I think that's just adding to the growth of the region, right?
Yeah, so I got to think about on any given day, you have between 8 to 14 commercial flights that are taking place, besides a bunch of other private planes and stuff like that, but 8 to 14 commercial flights. And I think that what I saw was that it's about 300,000 passengers per year fly through St. George Regional Airport, which is double what it was in 2013. And then so obviously with more flights coming in and more passenger capacity and everything, that should hopefully bring the prices down, because being real, the flying in and out of St. George Regional Airport is not the cheapest thing in the world. I mean, that's why a lot of people do actually, they'll either go to Cedar City Regional Airport, or they'll fly out, they'll drive to Las Vegas, which is about an hour and 45 minutes down the road, to go to an international airport to fly out.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain destinations that if you take from St. George, it's actually not that much more expensive than Vegas. But where we fly, we tend to fly to Texas. And even though we have a direct flight to Texas, it is way more expensive than Vegas. Like, I'm talking 6 times every time I check. So we've actually never flown out of St. George.
And remember, I am a licensed realtor here in the state of Utah. So as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you want to do is you want to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country.